guys, welcome back to another nail design using polygel only. And I want to say happy Mother's Day and happy Mother's Day weekend to all the moms out there. Hope we all get that peace of mind that we are looking for. But these are the colors and brands that I went with. So we have a light blue and a glitter blue from Morvan, and then we have indigo from Macart Neon's kit. And then we have a light pink along with a glitter pink, both from Model 1. And then Landfo, it's like a light pink or a nudish pink. These are the colors. They are individual kits, and I will put them in the description. This is just my prep process. And so I like to use a metal cuticle pusher that came in one of the kits that I have. And all I'm doing is just taking it, I'm pushing my cuticles out on the side, pushing them back, and then out on the other side. And then I take my E-file and a diamond cuticle bit on a low speed. And then I'll go up the nail around the cuticle and then down the side, and I'll do that on all the fingers. So I'm just going up, around, and down. Now I do not angle my bits. I keep it flat on the nail plate. I don't want to create that line. And so my main purpose here is just to my main purpose is just to lift that skin and remove all of the dirt or protein, whatever it is that's up on that cuticle. I'm just trying to remove that off. And then that is pretty much it. I do not file on the nail plate. My nail have enough ridges and grooves, and I don't need to make any more. And then I'm just going to wash my hands with some dish soap, getting all of the dust, dirt, oils, grime, whatever it is that's up under there. So I'm making sure that the nail is, all of the dust is out of the cuticle area, and then the dirt is out from up under the nail. And that is all I do on my prep. Again, I don't file on my nail plate, and I don't use dehydrators, primers, and bonds. And then I go in with my forms. I like to pre-pinch the side, pre-pinch the tips, and then put it on the nail just to kind of measure. And then I like to cut my sides so I can customize the form in a sense. This allows me to press it, squeeze it nice and tight up underneath of the finger and get a nice tight secure. A tip, relax your hand when you put your form on and then look and see if your line is straight. That will help. So this polygel was from Landfo. It's like a light pink or a nudish pink. I wasn't very fond of the color once I started using it. But as far as texture, the texture was fine. It wasn't runny. It wasn't loose. It was fine. It was okay. It wasn't sticky. It was good. I definitely would recommend the kit. I just wasn't a big fan of the color on my skin tone. But I think what they did was, because on Amazon with this kit, it's like pink, blue, and green, which were 3 individual kits at one point in time. But then I think they put all those together and now selling it as one kit. So I will put that link in the description if you guys are interested in it. All of the colors are pretty much pretty. I just didn't like that color for me. So all I'm pretty much doing is just squeezing that polygel onto the nail plate, and then I'm pushing it all together to make like one big bead, and then I spread it out, making sure that my whole nail is covered. And then when I do my cuticle, I'd like to angle my brush and then tap the polygel down around the cuticle area. And then I'll come down the sides with the same method, just tapping it, and then once I get towards my free edge, I'll pull the extra polygel down. And then I'd like to take my brush and then tap in between the cuticle, or dab, tap, dab in between the cuticle area to make sure I have some space. Just making sure that nothing is on or under my cuticle area. I'm just trying to get that cuticle super clean. It really helps with sealing the nail, and you don't have to cut yourself as much trying to get that cuticle area clean. After doing so, then I just pulled all the polygel to one side and then just kind of pushed it over. Now, when I started out with this set, I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do with this set. Like, I knew what colors I wanted to use, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So it did take me a little while trying to figure out what I was going to do, because I didn't want the nail bed to look the same as my last set. But anyway, we made it through. Alright, so I'm going to take the light blue from More Than and then just squeeze it onto the nail plate, making sure it is connected to the pinkish nude color. Oh, I did cure those nude colors first. So, I cured them individually. This polygel wasn't sticky at all. It was so easy to use. I absolutely loved it. It wasn't runny. It was great. I absolutely loved the texture of it. And they are in my top 5s because I absolutely do like their polygel. Now, I think the thing with this light blue, it came in one of their larger kits, which was, I think, like a 20 color kit or something like that. I'll go back and make sure. But the polygel was very nice. And if you really into polygel, it's a good investment. And so I'm just trying to pop those air bubbles out and then pushing it up. Now what I'm trying to do is make sure that the width of the stripes are the same width and length. So my nail bed for my middle finger is shorter than the other fingers. And so I had to, so for instance, if I scope down my pointer finger, say if I scope that to a 2, my middle finger, I would have to scope that to a 2.5. And so I'm just trying to make sure my stripes are the same length and width. Even though I'm scoping to different numbers, I'm still trying to make sure they are the same, because I want all 3 fingers to look identical. I do the pinky pretty much off camera though. Okay, now I'm just running my brush around it just to make sure that it was cured enough, because I did do a flash cure. And the flash cure consists of like 7 seconds, 5 to 7 seconds, somewhere in there. I didn't need it to be fully cured. I just needed to be hard enough. So when I put the next color against it, it didn't move. Now this glitter was a lot stiffer than the light blue. Although they are both from the same brand, it was a lot stiffer. But I personally love a good stiff polygel. If you're not into stiff ones, this one might not be for you. But it is a very pretty glitter, and you can always take a stiff polygel and just put it in your pocket for a second, and that'll loosen it up. But so again, I'm just pushing it up against the light blue, and then constantly keeping an eye on my pointer finger to make sure they are the same, and then just correct anything that looks a little off. Gave those a quick cure. Again, just running that brush through it to check it, make sure that they was cured enough. Now this blue indigo from Macart, their neon kit. This was my favorite neon kit for about a year and a half, maybe a little longer than that. Mainly because this blue, the purple, and the green was the only colors that I did not have a repeat color of. So those 3 was the only colors that no other brand had, and so this was my favorite kit for a long time. But since then I have got these colors in other brands. But this polygel, it was stiff, very stiff. Good thing, let me correct that. It wasn't stiff, it was firm. And so when I say stiff, I need to use a lot of pressure to move it. When I say firm, it just means that it don't go anywhere. It stays wherever you put it. But so it was pretty firm, but it was sticky, and so I did need to make sure my brush was a lot wetter than it usually is. I could have went in and used base coat, but I just made sure my brush was a lot wet. And then it did bleed, as you can see on my paper towel. So I'm just trying to clean it out to make sure that that color don't mix into the pink, because I didn't want purple. Now this pink, I do not have this pink in another color. So far, model ones is the only one with this exact shade. It's either, the other ones I have are either lighter or darker. But this polygel was a lot loose and runny compared to the other 4 colors I have used at this point. But it was okay. It wasn't like real runny because I had some polygels that's a lot more runnier. But it was okay to use. I did have to cure them individually just so they didn't move. But it wasn't sticky, so that was a plus. Having a runny and sticky polygel is just the worst. So it wasn't sticky. But again, just pushing it up against the previous color. So I'm pushing them up against the blue. And then before I cure it, I check both of the fingers, the middle finger and the pointer finger, to make sure that they are the same. Then we cure it. Okay, so now this glitter, it was model one's pretty color, a little loose, but nothing too bad. It was a lot firmer than the pink one was. The thing with this was it had glitter and mylar in it. And so the little mylar hairs, you know, would stick up like doing filing and stuff. But the glitter itself was very pretty. It was like, the pink was like a jellyish like, and then the glitter and the mylar flakes. But at this point, I was going to just finish off the nail with this glitter. And then as I'm just like moving it, I wasn't really feeling it for the final color. And so in a second, you will see that I kind of just push it up to make a stripe like the rest of the colors. And so that's what we're doing here. Just kind of moving it back up some and then pulling it down to the side to get a side stripe. Also making sure it is connected to the pink. Making sure it's connected to the pink. Now, I was going to do my ring finger with this glitter pink, but after I squeezed a bead out on the middle finger, I realized that I did not think that I was going to have enough polygel to do that ring finger and the thumb. As you can see, I scoped my nails up extremely thick, and so I didn't want to take that chance. So let me say this: that pink glitter is a 10 milliliter. Are they milliliters? I'm gonna have to check, but it was a 10 size bottle instead of the 15 size bottle. So it was the smallest bottle, and so I didn't think I was going to have enough. But here at this point, I realized that the stripe was a lot thicker on this pointer finger than it was on the middle finger. So I just wiped some off and then dab my brush into the alcohol and then push it up. You know, just making sure they was the same on both nails. And then, so that was that process. Wasn't a whole lot to it. Just cleaning it up, making sure that I have a thick ledge for the next color. So I did decide to use the same color that I used on the nail bed to end the nail. Now the problem is, it was the same exact tube, the same exact color, but something I learned was that when I put it up on my nail bed up against my skin versus putting it at the end of the nail, they are giving off 2 different colors. You might can't tell, but I noticed the little things like that. And so the lesson I learned here is just because it look one shade on one person may look different on another person. So anyway, I'm just going to take that color and just finish off the nail. So I'm just squeezing a bead onto my form, and then with my brush, a damp brush, I'm just patting it up against that glitter color, and then I'm going to square it off and make sure, just kind of make it look like a nail. Like, they already thick and wonky, but I'm doing my best to just make it look like a nail, so that way when I file, I'll still have an idea of what the nail looked like. Alright, so at this point, I just took that same new color and just, instead of doing an extended nail bed, I kept it the same length of my nail bed and just made it, and then scoped it down into a V. And so that's pretty much all I'm doing with the light blue, which I'm going to use every color I used on all the other fingers. But instead of making side stripes, I'm just going to bring them down into a V. Also, at this point, I am still trying to make sure that they are the same width on both sides. So I don't want one side to be a little wider than the other, if that makes sense. I'm just trying to make the V even and trying to bring them down to a perfect point. And then just, you know, patting it and cleaning it up. And then I am doing my thumb and ring finger at the same time. So I do cure those two together. And then pretty much just repeating the process. Now I am using a kit brush for this light blue, mainly because I don't want to get the glitter mixed in my other brushes, so I'm trying to use separate brushes when I use the glitters. But anyway, I'm just gonna same process, bringing it down to a V. But at this point, I realized that I had like 5 minutes. Then I had to get my daughter ready for school. So at this point, I wasn't too concerned with making those V the same sizes and widths and same length anymore. I was just trying to hurry up and get it on there. But I'm just taking that blue, again, one of my favorite neon colors, and just going around the glitter blue and then bringing it down into a point. But what I am trying to do though is keep my point directly down the center. Like my fingers are all a little wonky, and so I turn my hand a lot to view it from different angles. But yeah, so all right, now we have the pink, and while I was doing the pink, I realized that I wasn't going to be able to get the glitter and the new color at the end. And so I had to, like, on the fly make a change. And so I decided to just wipe some of the pink off, which you will see in a second. And so if you have too much polygel, you can always just wipe some off. Use a little pressure and wipe it off. And then go right on in. But once I wiped it off, I realized I wiped too much off. So I'm going to go back and add a little bit more. This is why I like polygel, because it's like, it's no mistakes in a sense. Like, you can always add more. You can always take off. It's like you have plenty of time for the most part to get that design or that nail how as best as you can get it or how you want it, without having a fear of it's going to dry or cure on you. But all right, so now we got the glitter. And then I decided that was just going to be the end of the nail because I was already far down on my form. So I'm just going to take that glitter, make sure it's connected to all the other colors. But at this point, I just want to square it off and make it into a nail. And then I cured those, and that was that. And then I removed the forms. Now, all of them was a little uncured underneath. So after I removed the forms, I did need to go in and clean that underside. And so I'm just trying to make sure, one, there's no air bubbles under there. And two, I'm trying to make sure all the colors are where they supposed to be. So I don't want no color to overlap. And I don't want any air bubbles. And so I do take the time to make sure the underside of my nail is clean, so it could be just as pretty as the top side. And then we cured those. And then most importantly, wipe that sticky layer off from the top, sides, and underneath. That sticky layer will make you think that the nail is not cured. And it also gook up your hand file and your bit. So just wipe them nails off with some alcohol. And then after we clean them off, here is what the nails look like. They are thick, wonky, a hot mess, and I have a long road ahead of me when it comes down to filing these things. But that's okay. I personally love the filing part. That is my favorite part of doing the nails, is the filing. Now, this e-file I got from AliExpress. It sits on a base with a USB. It charges once you connect it to a power source. But as you can see, one is bigger than the wireless one is bigger than the rechargeable one. But that's because the battery and the motor and everything is inside of it. But if you don't like cords and wires, I definitely suggest it. But it is a lot heavier than a rechargeable one. But you'll get used to it once you continue to use it. But I didn't leave a whole lot of filing in this video. So I am using a 2x coarse ceramic bit to remove the bulk, and then I'll go in with my fine and then the 2x fine around the cuticle, and I'll hand file it. But I didn't leave all that in this time. And so here is the nails finished filed. I'm just going to take some top coat. It's the Vanillisa brand, which I always use. It's my favorite. I like to wipe the bulk of the top coat on the bottom, and then a little bit that's left on the brush, I like to go around the cuticle area and then blend it all in. Now, I am looking for my line of light, so I'm wiping the extra off, and then I'm looking for my line of light. This is my line of light. I'm trying to make sure those lines are straight. That's how I'll know that my nail is even on the top. Like, it will be a little wonky where the apex is, but for the most part, that line of light should be straight, and that's a good indication that your nail is straight and it doesn't have any dips or lumps in it. But now I'm just going to go in with my rhinestones, and I like to start out with the biggest rhinestones and then work down to the smallest. And again, this whole set, I didn't have any idea on what I wanted to do. And so I just kind of grabbed some rhinestones that were the same colors and just kind of put them on there, kind of played with it. And then I like to turn my finger from different directions and check it out to make sure I like the placement. And then we cure them. Now, I do cure every finger individually when I do my top coat. This helps me to keep the top coat from spreading all down the sides or all in the cuticle area. And so if you're struggling with a clean top coat application, just try doing one nail at a time or two nails at a time, and it can help. And then just wipe off all the extra. I do have a little towel there on the side. It's just not in frame. And then again, same process. I'm just trying to make sure I duplicate what's on the pointer finger. And so I'm just going to take the biggest charms, or the biggest rhinestones in this case, and then down to the smallest. Now these little rhinestones, I know I got them from AliExpress, but I got them about 2 years ago. I will check and see if I can find the links to those stars and hearts. But like I said, I got it about 2 years ago, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find that link. But if I see something similar, I will add that in the description. And then I just cleaned off all the little extra, a little fuzzy that was on there. And then I cured it. And here are the nails freshly out of the light. They were pretty and cute. They came out better than I expected. I do think if I had used another nude color, I probably would have liked them better. Oh, on the ring finger, I did add a cherry. But thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all your love and support. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Bye.